And welcome back in for another episode of the Ball Boys podcast. I'll see in post editing. I may have caught Nolan there making some interesting face. We'll see. What a weekend it was. NFL football was excellent. What a past couple days for us on social media too. I mean, the Kevin Byard news, we'll get to that, but you tweeted out a video, and then I just immediately ripped the video from your tweet and tweeted it out. Your video got
teamwork.
like 1,100 views. Mine got 47,000 views.
Teamwork, man. We all eat.
What do you call it? I put out a short video on my Twitter about A.J. Brown being Offensive Player of the Year. You tagged Kay Adams in it. She liked the tag. Kay Adams, if you're watching, my reply where I said, let's get on a pod, you must have forgot to like that one. You only liked what Nolan said about Kay Adams said A.J. Brown MVP, but I digress. We forgive you. And then last night, Nolan's out here playing Madden with Des Bryant and Tyreek Hill, and it's what a weekend. What a weekend.
What a past couple of days. 100%.
Yeah. And, well, we're going to talk about football, but I don't know if it could have gone better for our boys this week. I don't think it could have. I think this is the best it possibly could have gone over the weekend stretch for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Not even just Sunday. We were also eating on Monday too, man.
Yeah. It was quite the weekend. But, of course, we have to start, as always, with our best bets recap. Now, Nolan, 1-2 week for you because you bet on the Niners on Monday night. You had the -7. They lost outright. I tried to warn you about a sneaky Vikings cover. I didn't think they'd win, but man, we both had Eagles -2.5. That was easily the right line to be on. What was your other bet? The Browns, right? -2.5. Yeah. They won by 1.
Or I think it was like 4, and then they won by whatever the score was. So I lost regardless.
Yeah, it was a brutal. Deshaun Watson goes out in that game with a concussion after coming back from a shoulder injury. Kind of tough to predict. I had Ravens -3. They smashed Detroit. We'll get to that in a second. And then I also had Buccaneers +2.5. They lose on a walk-off field goal. Absolutely.
Bro, that game was wild. The Ritter fumbles and goal line.
Desmond Ritter is so ass, and he just keeps winning games. The Falcons, if they had a real quarterback, would be so good.
So Falcons fans were saying, I'm in a chat with a bunch of them. They're ridiculous, but they think that Desmond Ritter is a better quarterback than Jordan Love.
They're both ass. Who cares? Neither one of them's a starting NFL.
No, they are. But I was like, nah, there's no way.
I don't know, man. Jordan Love just lost to the Broncos. They got a real case.
Yeah.
They got a real case. But listen, they're all in the same conversation with Brock Purdy, as far as I'm concerned. But we'll get to that. So yeah, the best bets. I moved to 15-6 on the year. You're at 11-10, so we're both still over 500. If you tailed all of us, both of us on the pod, you'd be at what? 26 and 21. Is that right? Did I do the math right there?
I think so.
No, 26 and 16. I don't know. 26 and 15. You'd be up some units. That's all I'm trying to get across.
Over 500.
Yes. Make sure you as well check out the College Kids YouTube Shorts. Editor intern out there putting in work. Put out a couple shorts of the Ball Boys that did a little well as well. We're sponsored. Coffee of Gods. I tell you, right here. That's where the energy's coming from. You see the vibes are high. I know Nolan's got a bag there. I don't know if he's got it in his little studio, but
I don't have it with me, but I got the Arabic one, and Matt knows.
Yeah, I got that Italian roast. Me and Matt actually had I don't know. It was kind of an afternoon meal. I don't know if I'd call it a lunch or a dinner. It was around like 3:30, 4 o'clock a couple of weeks ago, and we went to an Arabic place, and it was the first time I ever had Arabic food. They got some real nice sauces, man. He had me try the coffee, so I know exactly what it tastes like. It's definitely a different taste, but it worked for me, man. But that is all for the sponsorship, yada, yada. Let's talk some football. The NFC, the top teams in the NFC. This is going, if you are not an Eagles fan, you're probably going to hate us by the end of the episode. It was a weekend for us. We'll start with the Eagles, Sunday Night Football. They beat the Miami Dolphins 31-17. that score actually reflects a little bit closer than what I felt like the game was.
Mm-hmm.
There was a point in the game where it was 17-17, and you thought, oh shit, like the Eagles team this year might lose this game that they feel like they've been dominating the whole time, but they didn't. Jalen Hurts had another odd batted interception for a pick six. But the story of this game was by far the defense. The Philadelphia Eagles defense gave up 10 offensive points, but realistically only gave up 7 because there was that fumble by Swift, and the Dolphins already got the ball in field goal range. And the Eagles stopped them and held them to a field goal, but obviously those points count against the defense. However, 10 points, 7 points, whatever way you want to look at it, against the NFL's best offense coming into the game. And the defense added all-pro safety, Kevin Byard, after the fact. Now, he's not still the all-pro level that he was, but here's what I'll say. A former interception leader, a guy that causes turnovers. That, me and my buddies were watching the game, and my buddy Zach said, I love this Eagles defense, man, but they just don't force turnovers. They go get a guy that forces turnovers. And obviously, Slay had the pick, and we know Big Play Slay what he does, but you know, Bradbury's not a huge interception guy. Reed Blankenship's more of a tackle guy. They don't have a linebacker that forces any interception. So I thought Byard was huge. I think he brings to the team the same thing C.J. Gardner-Johnson does, the ability to play nickel corner. But in this game, the Eagles defense dominated. I really liked what I saw out of rookie Eli Ricks. He came in and he was playing nickel a little bit. Dude, at the end of the game, he had Tyreek Hill. I mean, I know it's your boy from Madden, but yeah, I'm strapped up a little bit.
Bro, and I needed Tyreek about 5 more points, 6 points. I'm just like, bro, please. And he nothing. He wasn't giving up anything.
Eli Ricks had that boy strapped up. Mm-hmm. But it was a great night to be an Eagles fan. I thought, aside from the first drive where offensive coordinator Brian Johnson on 3rd down and goal calls quarterback draw again with his very clearly injured quarterback. And this is a point that I brought up to my buddies because we're in week 7 of seeing this now. And I would just want to be honest about something. At a certain point, I don't like the play call. You don't like the play call. Nobody likes the play call. At a certain point, Jalen Hurts needs to audible out of it. You're the quarterback, and you're 5 wide with Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, and DeAndre Swift. At a certain point, it's on you to audible out of that. And then at a certain point, we also have to talk about, is Jalen Hurts the one asking for this to be called over and over? I'm just – with the injury, I would guess not. In the way that he runs, he's all safe and stuff. I'd imagine not. But at a certain point, I think the quarterback's got to get out of that. You know, how often do we see Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, guys like that calling audibles? The Eagles have one of the worst red zone offenses this year. That's the biggest gripe with the team. But overall, you couldn't have asked for a better game. Everybody coming in, this is the Eagles' toughest stretch of the season. This is where they fall out. This is where the Cowboys take over the NFC East. I was hearing that. And in the first game against what many people were calling a top 5 team, which after the game, people were saying, oh, Dolphins fraudulent. Oh, it's the Dolphins that are fraudulent. Okay. But it was a perfect game. And then, followed it up. Howie Roseman does it again. Many Men by 50 Cent playing in the background. And he trades for Kevin Byard. He trades scraps for him.
It's crazy because I think if Jonathan Gannon is still on that team, they could lose that game. Sean Desai, he's been our biggest addition easily. Whether it be player, coach, anything. He's been awesome so far. He's brought that heat from Seattle, been doing big things. So, and then getting our guy yesterday, bro, like that's insane to add that. And it's crazy because I think he's better than Gardner, and in ways, but I think for this team he'll be better. And it's just crazy because his D line is absolutely ferocious, and adding a safety now and his calibers is super awesome addition. With the game, their offense, it was stagnant at times, but I think after Hurts threw that pick six, he really was just like F it and just absolutely just turned up, and which is a huge character builder. I mean, he's always been that guy. Like, he doesn't let things bothered him, and it showed. And I think the biggest thing for me is I've been telling everybody this for years and years. Tua, bro, when he plays solid teams, that's what you get, bro. And he could put up all these numbers, all this offensive stats against the sorry teams or 500 teams. But when the going gets tough, like I don't think he has it, and it sucks because this Dolphins team is really good.
Yeah,
but I don't think they have their quarterback.
Here's what I'll say. I think Tua is the top tier of game managing quarterbacks in the NFL. That's what he is. He didn't make a lot of mistakes in this one. The Slay interception, was it the best ball? No, but at the end of the day, like, your quarterback's not going to be perfect. That's every quarterback. Mahomes, Hurts, it doesn't matter. So while it's not a great interception, I don't think like, oh, Tua's so ass because of that. But this is what the Eagles defense does. They take away the run game. You have to beat them through the air. If you don't have a quarterback that can beat them through the air, you're done. And, Jalen Waddle getting hurt, that obviously didn't help them. Missing offensive linemen, that didn't help them. So I'm not going to, say that the Dolphins are so ass. Their team was not at full strength. But the Eagles dominated the way that they should. And the Eagles defense, the 10 points is a great stat. How about they only gave up 12 first downs in that game? I mean, that is mind-blowing. This is a team that put up 70 points in a game this NFL season. And you could say that the Broncos are ass all you want. 70 points is not something to scoff at. And again, no Devon Achane, no Waddle, no, missing some offensive linemen. It happens. I think Jalen Carter is already a top 5 interior defensive lineman in football. He is a game wrecker. He is going to make plays in the playoffs, without a doubt in my mind. And the Eagles sit atop the NFC alone at 6-1 right now. After everything we had to hear for the last couple of weeks, they're in sole possession of first place. And I do want to talk about the other NFC teams. Let's start with the Niners, because I don't know how long I've had to tell people that Brock Purdy is not that guy. And I said he's not that guy. And people are like, oh, if he's a top 3 pick, you wouldn't be saying that because he's 10-0. If he was a top 3 pick, it means he was good in college. This guy went to Iowa State and was mid. Now he's in the NFL, and he starts off this year hot, right? He's good again. Starts off the year hot. Didn't lose regular season game. And people are saying to me, you have to acknowledge that Brock Purdy's good. He's doing another year. And I said, can I just see Brock Purdy play a full 17 games? Can I just see it? Can I just see him play a full 17 games? Is that too much to ask for? And I was told, oh, it's, why do you need to see more? You're just a hater. You're an Eagles fan. Brock Purdy last night against the Vikings defense, which going into that game, what were they ranked against the pass? 30th, I believe, in the NFL? Not good. A defense he should be able to go out there and beat. 272 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. A 63.5 QBR and an 81 passer rating. But what did Brock Purdy do? On the 2 most important drives for the San Francisco 49ers, without the full Avengers God squad of weapons, just Deebo Samuel was missing. You had McCaffrey, you had Ayuk, you had Kittle. Juwan Jennings looked great last night. What did he do? Back-to-back interceptions. Do not tell me that Brock Purdy is elite again. I will not be here for the conversation until he shows it in the playoffs. Because this is back-to-back weeks that he has been ass. He was ass for the first 3.5 quarters versus the Browns, and he was ass for the 4th quarter versus the Vikings. And all these people that were QB wins, where are you at? Because I guarantee you, those are going to be the same people that are saying, oh, the team sport wins, yada, yada. Brock Purdy is not that guy. He's not that guy. He's not a game changer at quarterback. He's a game manager. He can play with a lead and when it's comfortable. The last 2 weeks, it hasn't been comfortable, and he hasn't played with a lead the whole time.
Yeah, it's crazy because there's a lot of people out there who, given the excuse, oh, he's missing his Trent Williams and Debo's out, but they're the same people who are dogging on Tua, and it's like, bro, for me, like Purdy, he has not shown we've been on this since day one. Like, he has not shown anything for me to be like, wow, like the eye test is the truest test you could actually do when it comes to like valuing quarterbacks. And for me, it was just like he's on such a great team. Shanahan is such a great play caller that a lot of people could probably do what he's doing. And I
Yeah.
was very curious to kind of see when the going gets tough, can Purdy actually do it? And against a pretty horrid defense, he was not doing anything. And it's crazy because, I was looking at their schedule a couple of weeks ago and I was like, bro, like if they don't lose to the Browns, like I don't know who they're gonna lose to besides maybe the Eagles, and 2 straight losses. They're playing the Bengals, I think, this week. And it could be three losses in a row, and that'd be crazy after their hot start. I mean,
And Kirk
and
Cousins, we talked about primetime Kirk. He was able to
he
light up that
without
secondary.
Jefferson.
Without Jefferson lit up that secondary, there's real concern for the 49ers. Joe Burrow's going to have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. You just got lit up by Jordan Addison. Listen, I like Addison.
Great, yeah.
I like Addison. I didn't mean that as an insult to Jordan Addison, but my point being, there's clearly better weapons in Cincinnati than Minnesota right now.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I think if he keeps playing like this, I think Jefferson might stay. And if you have Addison and a Jefferson combo, bro, like that,
and
that
the
is
Vikings are what 3-4, 3-5 now.
3-5, yeah, 2 games out.
They're crazy.
And they haven't. Have they played Detroit yet?
I think they're 3-4.
Maybe. Okay, so
there's only 7 weeks. So
yeah, that makes sense. Did they play Detroit? Did they play them yet or not yet?
I'm not sure if they. I don't think so.
Let me see real quick. Vikings.
Here's what I'll say while you're looking that up. I wish Brock Purdy never got injured in that NFC Championship because I'm fully convinced it would have been the same 20-plus point blowout win.
Yeah, so they play Detroit 2 of the last 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah. And the Packers, they look dead. When you lose to the Broncos, your season's over. That's the new barometer. Tyson Bagent for the Bears, that's going to last a whole week. Like the Vikings are probably the biggest threat to the Lions, and I don't know how much of a threat they are, but let's talk about the Lions because, we were Stephen A. on Stephen A's list. This is what I told you guys during the Best Bets preview. I said when a team is America's sweetheart, they go out the next week, and it's not good. The Detroit Lions were at the top of Stephen A's A list, and they got rolled by the Baltimore Ravens. We'll talk about the Ravens side of things in a second, but for Detroit, here's what I'll say. And Jared Goff, like Tua, is a game manager. And when they start trailing 21, 28 points in the first half and get punched in the mouth, they're just not dynamic enough to make the comeback. They are not a special enough player like Tom Brady, like Patrick Mahomes, like Jalen Hurts, like Joe Burrow to lead comebacks. And they're just not. And there's nothing wrong with that. The Lions are going to win a ton of games this year. Their schedule is pretty cupcake the rest of the way. I wouldn't be shocked if they were the 2 or even the 1 seed. This Eagles are not going to go 8-0 in this 2-month stretch. All the win over the Dolphins was great, and the Eagles fans are not used to losses in the regular season with Jalen Hurts at quarterback. There's going to be another one that comes, maybe 2 or 3 over this stretch. It's just going to happen. And whereas the Lions, they're 1 game back right now, but they have a much easier schedule. And they're going to be able to win games with their style of football versus the teams that they have to play. When David Montgomery's back, Jahmyr Gibbs looked great this weekend. They got a 1-2 combo. Amon-Ra, Laporta. They are still a good team. This win really told me more about Baltimore than Detroit. It's kind of confirmed what I knew about Detroit. But it made me feel a lot better about a potential Eagles-Lions NFC championship. That, okay. If we get up on this team, it's cooked for them.
No, it was crazy. I was watching the game, and like every other second, you said Baltimore in the red zone, bro. It was Lamar was playing out of his mind. That first half, it was crazy. And I don't want to be that guy, but I said going into this year, Lamar with all these weapons for the first time in his career is a scary thing. And especially because he got his money, like he wants to prove. There's just so many doubters, even after week 4. After losing to Pittsburgh, Stephen A. Smith was like, "Yeah, like I don't know if he's worth the money, this and that." And now yesterday he's like, "Yeah, yeah, Lamar, you know what you're getting. It's prime time. Like, what? You can't switch up that quick, dog. Like, this is ridiculous. But
He
it's
could switch
crazy.
up. He's Stephen A.
Yeah, but the Ravens look great, man. I was a little scared with their secondary, and their defense. They had injuries going into the season, but I thought because the AFC's like super wide open that the Ravens might be that sneaky team and they might actually do it. But as we know, Lamar in the playoffs has yet to really show us what he can do. But
Got to win versus
finally,
Buffalo, but
facts. But this is finally the year that I think that they can actually do something because they have like all these weapons. Zay Flowers looks great.
Yeah.
So and Detroit, man, like they're a good team, but the same thing. Like, I always felt like they just weren't ready for the big moment, and it kind of showed. So I'm excited to kind of see how they show up this Sunday. I'm not sure who they play, but excited to see kind of how they respond and if they can get back on track.
Yeah, man. Detroit, they will be a good team the rest of the way, like I said, but they play the Raiders on Monday Night Football. That should be a win for them. But the Lions, the Niners, their quarterbacks, they don't compare.
Without a quarterback, man.
They don't compare to Jalen Hurts. And, after all the analysis that we had going into the season where we talked about, it sounds homer to pick the Eagles to go back to the Super Bowl, but they're a good team. And they clear cut have the best quarterback in the NFC.
And I think they might have a better team than last year.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what level Byard comes in at. I really loved C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I had wished that they paid him, but Howie does what Howie does. And I'm excited to see this team in action for sure. Yeah, and the one thing I'll say about Detroit is and we see a lot of teams like this. Bill Belichick's Patriots are like this. Is there a weakness to the mobile quarterback for Detroit? If so, it could be tough sledding in a playoff game versus the Seahawks with Geno Smith. It could be tough sledding in a playoff game versus the Eagles with Jalen Hurts. And, maybe some other surprise team. I don't know. Maybe Kyler Murray comes back and the Cardinals go on a run. They're a team that could upset Detroit then with that mobile quarterback. I don't know if it's an issue. It could just be Lamar Jackson's that good. And let's talk about how good Lamar Jackson is, because it's time. It's time to start talking about Lamar Jackson MVP again. This is by far the best he's looked eye test wise since his MVP season. Now, the stats are not that crazy. So anybody that's a statistician, you can come for me in the comment section if you want. I can't rebuttal you when it comes to stats. Lamar Jackson needs to get his passing touchdowns up. To only have 8 at this point in the season, you're not going to win MVP that way. He's got 5 rushing touchdowns, so 13 total touchdowns and 3 interceptions. But the way that he plays the game, man, he is just so in control. He is, and we saw it this past Sunday. He was clear-cut the best player on the field. Clear-cut. That one scramble where he was just moving around in the pocket and found Aguilar, and he let that play. His movement and mobility made that play 10 seconds before he threw the ball. Like, for reference, the average amount of time is 3.5, 4 seconds from snap to throw, typically. He more than doubled it, almost damn near tripled it. So Lamar Jackson, if he gets those passing touchdown numbers up, which I think he's going to, because like you mentioned, Zay Flowers, he looks like, and I know Jordan Addison just had the big night and Smith and Jigba had a touchdown. For my money, Zay Flowers has been the best rookie wide receiver this year, and it's not close. Well, Puka. I forget. When I think of them, I think of the first 4 that were drafted.
No, 100%.
Okay, he has been the second best rookie wide receiver. I'm glad you caught me there, because you were like, and I'm like, what? Smith the Jigba, Quentin John. Oh, the guy went really.
That guy, yeah.
Oh, that guy that cost me a fantasy win this week. That guy. But yeah, man, they're a duo, and I tweeted it a couple weeks ago, man. Zay Flowers looks like Antonio Brown. That's what he looks like. And
100%.
If the Ravens got an Antonio Brown, they are going to be good for years to come. Mark Andrews, he had a breakout week. Odell led the team in targets, so clearly he's getting healthier. I can't believe I'm fucking saying this, but Nelson Aguilar has looked really good on that team as like a deep threat, and he was even a red zone threat this past weekend. The run game with Gus Edwards and Justice Hill has been more than serviceable. If this team goes out and gets a running back, and there's running backs on the market, we know the Titans are selling. Derrick Henry could be on the move. You know who else might be selling? The 2-4 LA Chargers. Austin Eckler, they couldn't come to an agreement, and he was pissed at them this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Austin Eckler to Baltimore?
Yeah, that Chargers team.
Stop it. Baltimore, to me, is the clear-cut biggest threat to Kansas City right now. And Kansas City struggled to defend Lamar in years past, and that was without these weapons. Your Super Bowl prediction of Ravens-Eagles from the offseason, that's where I'm leaning right now, man. If we did a mid-season predictions, I think that's where I'd go, because while the Chiefs are 6-1 and they're 6-0 with Kelsey and Chris Jones, and I can't take that away from them, they have not looked like the same team as last year. I will say that.
No, 100%, and it's crazy because before the year, I think it was the first or second podcast we talked about maybe potential long shot MVPs, and the name that came out of my mouth was Lamar Jackson. And I've been on this train for a while, but I did go back and forth. I wound up going with Trevor Lawrence instead, but Lamar is my second choice.
Trevor Lawrence.
Bro. And I think it's going to come down to how those teams kind of play out for their standings and whatnot. And they do play in December. I think that'll be a huge game to kind of see who can come up on top. But Lamar's playing excellent, bro. We just talked about the Ravens, but
December 17th they play. What's that?
Yeah.
Week 15? Looks
something like that. Yeah,
it looks like week 15 if I'm doing the backwards math correct.
Yeah, but it's crazy just how good they look, and it's exciting, bro. I mean, Lamar just being healthy and playing is awesome for the league. You know, last year they had what's his face, the backup quarterback,
Tyler Huntley.
And
he almost won a playoff game in Cincinnati.
Yeah, they were not bad, bro. Like they were not bad. He wasn't Lamar Jackson, you know. So
no, of course not.
But seeing Lamar back and just healthy and with all these weapons, like it shows like what you can do with a good front office, and it's awesome to kind of see him finally get that after like 25 years, you know.
Yeah, and we got to talk about this AFC. It's loaded. But the Buffalo Bills, man, a team that we were ripped into.
Yeah, where's that guy? Where's that guy that said the Bills are winning 5 games or whatever?
Yeah, they're not going to be that bad. We never said that bad. But this is a team that we were worrisome this offseason of. And there was continuous regression for this team year after year. No coaching change, no additional weapon added, running it back. And listen, the injuries on defense, that sucks. They clearly missed Tre'Davious White and Matt Milano, giving up near 29 points to McCorkle Jones. I mean, that's on the defense. But this Bills team, man, they just don't look right, especially compared to the other teams in the AFC. And listen, I know it's a hot take, and I'm not going to say that I think it's going to happen because I don't think it's going to happen. But I'll tell you, if the playoffs started today, Buffalo's the 7th seed. So let's talk about who they could jump, right? Kansas City at 6-1, they're not jumping them. Miami at 5-2, I'll hold out on that. When the weather gets colder, I'll be interested to see if this Miami offense can keep up their pace. Baltimore at 5-2, no way. Jacksonville at 5-2, it feels pretty unlikely since Jacksonville has the tiebreaker. So that would put Buffalo at best as the 4 seed, right? But let's say Miami holds on to the division. So now Buffalo's competing for a wild card spot. Pittsburgh at 4-2, maybe. But Pittsburgh, they find a way to continuously have winning seasons. Deontay Johnson back for the first time, and they went into LA and beat the Rams. Not that going into LA is much of an accomplishment. The Cleveland Browns are 4-2. They have had probably the worst quarterback play of any good team this year. If I keep saying this, if Deshaun Watson can come back and be average, this team is going to be good. I don't think Buffalo can get past Cleveland unless Watson falls apart, which is very much in the possibility of things. So then you have Buffalo at 7. But I want to talk about some teams below Buffalo that very well could pass them. The Houston Texans at 3-3, who CJ Stroud is clearly the best rookie quarterback in the draft class, and they've looked good. And they're rumored to be going after a wide receiver 1 at the deadline. We'll see there. The New York Jets are 3-3, and right now they have the tiebreaker over
Mhm.
Buffalo,
Mhm.
and they just played the hardest stretch of their schedule. And Aaron
Mhm.
Rodgers, he may come back. Listen, he wouldn't be back before the playoffs. I know that.
Nah, no shot.
But Zach Wilson's looked fine. And Cincinnati at 3-3, they seem to have figured it out. It's a 10-team race in the AFC right now. And if you start looking at stock trends, Buffalo's has got to be the most down of any team. Now, I think Josh Allen is still a top 5 quarterback in football, maybe top 7. I don't know. Stephon Diggs is a top 5 wide receiver. And the team is obviously it's still talented. This is a team I picked to win the division. And I think Buffalo gets in the playoffs. But unless this Buffalo team goes and trades for another weapon, whether it be Derrick Henry at running back, Austin Eckler at running back, Jerry Jeudy at wide receiver, some other player that we're not even thinking of right now, they are not going to be able to beat Jacksonville, Kansas City, or Baltimore in the playoffs. And the other games, it depends. Luck of the draw. But if they face a good defensive team like Cleveland or the Jets, they have struggled against top-tier defenses. The Jets and now the Patriots.
Mhm.
And by the way, if they tie with Miami and say they just split, Miami's going to have a better divisional record because you've lost now to Zach Wilson and McCorkle Jones.
McCorkle Jones.
So, listen, I'll let you go in on Buffalo, but there's logically some real cause for concern. And if you're disagreeing, I think you're being blinded by your fandom right now.
It's insane, dog. We were on this day one, got so much heat for it, and we just let the games do their talking, and that's why we're up here, and that's why the other people are on the comments. So for me, it's crazy because I so wish Aaron Rodgers was healthy because that the Bills are not making playoffs if he's healthy. There's no shot I could possibly see that.
I wouldn't say no shot because I still think they could be
Very
better than
slim.
the Steelers and Browns.
Yeah,
but there's no shot they're a top 5 team. They're right at the end there in the wild card.
And it's crazy because they could have easily been 3-4. If Tyrod Taylor just sneaks the ball in at the one.
At that holding, I mean, could have had holding.
Yeah,
you could have lost in back-to-back weeks to that'd be 3 straight weeks actually. Jacksonville, the Giants, and then the Patriots.
And it's crazy because I just went up to look at the Bills' schedule and they got some heat coming. I mean, the Bucs is this Thursday, not an easy game. At Cincinnati the next week, Broncos W, but then you have the Jets, the Eagles, the Chiefs, Cowboys, Chargers, and then you have the Dolphins to end the season.
And the Chargers are going to be a desperate team
at home. And for
well,
me, that
doesn't matter.
Yeah, but
home field doesn't matter.
Well, I'm saying that because it's better than in December in Buffalo, But
yeah. So good conditions for Harper.
Yeah, it's crazy because the Bills,
their schedule is tough. I didn't realize it until you pointed that out.
A sure thing, bro. And for me, if the Bills wind up missing playoffs, you're gonna have a lot of stuff going on. You have Josh Allen, you have Diggs, who might request a trade. McDermott obviously would get canned. But it's tough because they're a good team. They're also very hurt. I'll give them that. Defensively, they've missing a lot of guys. But even still, you can't lose that badly to the Patriots. They wound up getting a free touchdown because of the refs. And then they wound up, losing because the Patriots drove down. Mac Jones drove down the field with 2 minutes left. You can't. Come on. So for me, I'm excited to see how they kind of respond, how they end the season. But it should be an awesome kind of analysis, kind of what this team can do when times get tough. And I'm excited to see Josh Allen kind of see what he can do.
Yeah, I mean, 7 of this team's final 10 games are against teams right now that are 500 or better.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be easy sledding for them. And I think McDermott's canned. Like you said, I think he's done.
They have to win at least 2 playoff games. Can't even just win one.
I don't think they'll win one. If they can go get another weapon, you go get Derrick Henry, you go get Austin Eckler, we can have another conversation.
Honestly, I think you need a receiver over at running back if I'm the Bills.
I do too, but the receiver market's kind of dry.
Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy, how good is he? I mean, he's better than Gabe Davis, in my opinion, but We were told Devontae Adams will not be traded. I'm trying to think of other teams like off of the top of my head. I don't think Hollywood Brown is up for being moved. Let's see. NFC South, no, right? Unless the Buccaneers start really going down and Mike Evans becomes available. But in that NFC South, I just doubt it, right? With how like the Falcons are in first and they suck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nothing in the AFC North. The Titans aren't moving Hopkins. Denver, like we mentioned, the Chargers aren't moving Keenan Allen. The Giants don't have anybody to move. The Bears aren't moving DJ Moore. The Packers don't have anybody to move. The Panthers, what are you going to get Adam Thielen? Like, for me, that's not a needle-moving move. So the Bills might be in trouble when it comes to even trading for a wide receiver. But, you know, surprise trades happen here and there in the NFL. I want to introduce something new to the show. I want us to, now that we kind of got a clear landscape, week to week, give our Stephen A's list, our top 5 teams. Nolan, do you have your list ready, or you need?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, let's hear 5-1.
All right, so number 1 for me,
No, 5-1, 5-1,
5-1. So number 5 for me, I'm gonna put the San Francisco 49ers. You know, I still think they're a decent team. You know, they have an awesome defense, and you know you can't count them out. Had 2 tough losses. Yesterday was abysmal, but the week before that, you know, stuff happens. The Browns have a good defense, so put them at 5. Number 4 for me, I'm gonna put the Baltimore Ravens. You know, for me, it's a toss-up between them and the Jags, 3 and 4. But I think because the Jags, they have a little better of a win kind of opponents. You know, they've beaten better teams. So I'll keep the Ravens at 4, but easily they could be 3. So Jaguars at 3, you know, they're playing awesome football now, finally getting their stride down. Doug Peterson has that team really moving in the right direction. Number 2, I'm going to put the Eagles at 2. I don't want to come off too hot yet, you know. If the Eagles could maybe win the next 2-3 games, I know they played Commanders, Cowboys, and is it the Chiefs, I think? Pretty sure.
It's Commanders, Cowboys, bye week, Chiefs.
Yeah, so if they could win the 3 games, and, you know, I think I'd put them at the 1. And number 1, I'll put the Chiefs at 1. You know, like you said, besides that first week kind of fluky game, they've been 6-0 with Jones and Kelsey back, you know, and then the reigning champs. So I keep them at 1, keep us level-headed. You know, the Eagles did win a huge game Sunday, but, you know,
still a long stretch here.
Exactly. So until they could really show us that they're the best team in the league, I'm going to keep them at 2. But I think it's better to have that.
I think the Eagles might dominate this weekend in Washington. Usually, for whatever reason, when they play in Washington, they dominate. And when they play Washington at home, it's like the biggest nail biter you've ever seen. So my top 5, at number 5, I got the Detroit Lions. I'm taking Jared Goff over Brock Purdy. When it comes to weapons, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Laporta, Jamison Williams. Let's talk about it. That offensive line, I'll take Detroit's O-line over San Francisco. The defense, I'm on the side of San Francisco. But I'll tell you what, aside from this Baltimore game where they got punched in the mouth, and Lamar Jackson can do that to defenses, Detroit has been on a defensive tear. And here's what I'll tell you. Detroit has beaten the teams they're supposed to beat. San Francisco just lost to the Browns with P.J. Walker and then Kirk Cousins in primetime. At least Detroit, when they lose, it's to the Baltimore Ravens and the Seahawks, 2 playoff teams. And Brock Purdy's ass.
All right. Yes, the quarterback, yes, but that San Fran D, I think, is light years ahead of the Lions defense. I know the Lions defense is good, but there's no shot. And
you let us know in the comment section.
Offensively, like that Niners offense.
How do you know I don't have the Niners at 4?
4? Nah, no shot. But that team, when it hums, it hums, bro. And with the Lions, you know, I just have not trusted them all year, and there's no shot I'd put them after Sunday top over the. I don't know who else you're having in this list.
I got the Ravens over them.
Do you have the Dolphins?
Nope.
No, that's ludicrous.
Yeah,
that is ludicrous.
Detroit, stand up. Detroit, stand up in the comment section.
You got a ski mask. They do the ski mask.
Detroit, stand up. CJ Gardner-Johnson's coming back soon, too. That defense is going to be even more loaded. I don't think he's coming back, actually. I think he tore his pec and then he's done for the year. But he'll be back next year. Number 4, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Prince, Trevor Lawrence, he's been excellent. Travis Etienne has been a really, really solid piece in this year. Calvin Ridley, let's get moving. Christian Kirk. That defense, though, they've been excellent at forcing takeaways. They're not to be messed with. I believe they're top 5 in the NFL in taking the football away. That's how you win football games. You make the most of your offensive possessions. They've been really solid in the red zone, and they take the ball away from their opponents. Number 3, the Baltimore Ravens. We just talked about it at length, but Lamar Jackson may be the MVP of the league. This is the best weapons group he's had, and that defense, it's still legit. John Harbaugh knows defense. Number 2, just like you, I got the Philadelphia Eagles. They are, on paper, the best team if you go down the roster, in my opinion, especially with the Bayard edition. Jalen Hurts hasn't quite looked like what he looked like last year. Is it the injury? Is it that he just played at an all-time high last year and maybe he's regressing a little bit to the mean of what he is? To be determined. A.J. Brown, 5 straight games, 125-plus yards, ties Calvin Johnson's record. The offense is humming. The defense was really humming. They are going into this tough stretch on a roll, and if they come out and they beat the Commanders and the Cowboys handily, they could easily move to number 1 on this list. But number 1, benefit of the doubt, the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl the last time we saw these two teams play. The Chiefs are 6-0 this season when Travis Kelce and Chris Jones are playing. Only loss is still to Detroit. Patrick Mahomes is a clear MVP candidate. I believe now he's 2nd in the league in passing touchdowns, 4th in the league in passing yards, and has the team with the best record. Everybody told me I was crazy for having him as a top 3 MVP candidate last week, but here we are. Patrick Mahomes still doing really solid. So
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if you've seen these stats, but do you believe in the Taylor Swift? Kelce plays better when Taylor Swift is actually at the games, because apparently his numbers are through the roof. You think that's like a legit thing?
Here's what I'll tell you. Here's what I'll say. The Chargers, he always steps up for them. It was tight end day. So I think he was due for a big day anyways. But when your girlfriend is the most powerful woman in the world and she comes to your games, you ball out. And here's what I'm going to say. She goes and stands next to Brittany Mahomes. You think Travis is like, yo, bro, let me show out. Let me show out in front of you. Ever been to like a basketball court and your girl pulls up? You're like, that's it.
Yeah, kind of Steph Curry.
Yeah, listen, there could be something to it. Travis Kelce, the Taylor Swift effect. All I know is if the Eagles play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl again, we're gonna see where her loyalty is, because she's an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
We're gonna see Week 10. That game's in Kansas City. She gonna be there. Taylor, we'll see. We'll be seeing. Imagine she pulled up in that Chiefs skybox in an Eagles.
No shot.
She'll be sitting with Donna Kelce and she won't be sitting with Brittany. She'll be with Donna and that.
Yeah, she's gonna be like hiding in the
both
bleachers,
wearing
bro.
like the Eagles Kelce jerseys.
Yeah, both teams.
Yeah, that'd be something. I do want to touch on Thursday Night Football real quick. Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo favored by 8.5 points in this one. The over-under is 42.5. So the projected final score we'll be looking at there, something like 20, what's that? Like 24-16-ish, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Maybe like a little higher, 26-15, something like that. I don't know. The math is not mathing currently. I think it's 27-16 is about the final score that they're predicting there. Yeah, I like Tampa plus 8.5. Short week. Buffalo's look really bad. Obviously, great teams that look really bad, usually they turn around and look good. I'm just not sure Buffalo's a great team. I think Buffalo wins the game. I think Tampa's kind of regressing to what they are. But McCorkle Jones just beat him. So
Buffalo better win this game. If they lose this game to the Bucs,
if they lose this game, they're out of the playoffs, by the way, because they'd be 500 and the Jets would pass them.
If they lose this game to the Bucs at home, primetime Thursday night, you better get on Twitter, Bills Mafia, whatever.
If they lose this game, Sean McDermott might be fired.
Nah, there's no shot.
Dude, he might be. At what point? Does Brandon Staley get fired in the regular season? If they lose Monday to Tyson or Sunday Night Football to Tyson fucking Badgett, that dude is gone. So Brandon Staley will be gone if that team's 2-5, losing to Tyson Badgett on Sunday Night Football.
What pissed me off is against that Vikings game. If the Chargers just lost that game, which they should have, Staley would have been gone like that after that game. And because they won the next two, like he's still there. Apparently, he's lost the locker room. Obviously, we could have predicted that.
From last year, he lost them, guys.
I mean,
right after that Jaguars game.
That's just moronic freaking front office thing, but that's not my problem. But so I think because McDermott, they're still in the hunt. If they get rid of McDermott, they're kind of waving the white flag. I think they're going to have to keep him until the end of the year. But if Baker's healthy, well, look out, because they almost lost to the Giants, and the Bucs are a lot better.
The Bucs are 3-3.
So and they lost a brutal way too.
Short week. Anything can happen. That's what I'll say. Just remember, the Chargers, when they hired their head coach, their ownership group was too cheap, and they could have had Brian Daboll, and instead they have Brandon Staley. Sleep at night on that one, Justin Herbert and Chargers.
So real quick, I was talking to my friend. He's the huge Chargers fan, and we were just thinking of if Staley is gone, who is the next guy? There's a bunch of options, and so I thought of this is a wild card, but what do you think about Bruce Arians?
Yeah, I don't know if he comes back out of coaching. I have a sneaky one for the Chargers next head coach, Jim Harbaugh. Him in Michigan, the cheating allegations, now the sign stealing. He was suspended. I think he has had enough of the NCAA, and I wouldn't be shocked if he made a return to the NFL. You get to go live in California. You get a team that's ready-made with Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams to be back. You have defensive weapons like Joey Bosa and Derwin James. Listen, don't be shocked. Don't be shocked if Jim Harbaugh is the coach of the Chargers. But that's all we got time for on today's episode. Remember, get your coffee of gods today. Make sure you're following the College Kids Experience for all of your betting needs on Twitter. Give us a follow for tons of memes and analysis sometimes. Make sure you follow all of our socials. Everything's linked in the description. As always, we will see you guys Friday. Peace.